Yeah, we are going to do a panel data regression analysis with VSP. This time around, we want to look at the fundamentals for the successful performance of a panel data regression here. Now you can see from what you are seeing on the screen, the required variables to successfully perform panel data regression analysis. Now, um, the data preparation must ensure the existence of the following types of variables. The first one here is the entity or firm ID. The entity ID is required for the identification of the individual entities or firms involved in the analysis. The second one is the period or time scale. The time scale analysis, the time scale variable is also required to identify the period covered for each entity. Both the time scale and the entity ID are used to concentrate analysis on individual entities' performance in comparison with others during the period of analysis. The time and entity variables are also important in the overall industrial or sectorial analysis. The third variable that must be there in the panel data analysis is the dependent variable. Of course, that is the major variable we want to establish a relationship with. Now, normally, each regression analysis goes with only one dependent variable. But when the major objective of the research cuts across many proxies or surrogates, then it becomes imperative to run as many regressions as there are proxies representing the major dependent variable. Now you can have something like performance, and inside performance as the major dependent variable, you can have return on assets, you can have return on equity, you can have return on capital employed. All these are surrogates or proxies of financial performance in organizational analysis of profits and loss. So that is where we now see that, okay, for us to be able to look at the whole thing holistically, performance holistically, we have to look at the individual components of that performance. That is where you now have multiple dependent variables. However, there's a way that we normally bring this together, but this is outside the this is outside this particular video clip that I'm doing now. What I'm doing is just to show how we can use the what actually is the necessity for a panel data analysis. The scope is just within how we can do this successfully. I'm not going outside what the leader can do outside on his own. Now, having done that, now we go to the fourth one. The fourth variable is the independent or predictor variables. These are the major influencers of the regression analysis, without which the analysis will not be conducted. It can vary from 1 to as many as 20. You can have as many as 20 predictor variables against one dependent variable or outcome variable. or you can have as many as 20. You can also have just one, as in a simple regression analysis. Now, depending on what is to be studied or analyzed. Now, having talked about the independent variables, we'll now look at the control or moderating variables. These are optional variables used to test the influence of other variables not directly related to the cause and effect relationship in the main analysis. So mediating variables may also be used when deemed appropriate. There's a difference between mediating variables and controlling or moderating variable. Controlling or moderating variable acts more on the dependent variable alone and also on other things. But then the mediating variable acts on both dependent variable and as well as independent variable, and how both of them influences the dependent variable. So that is on that. Now we are going to look at a data set prepared in Excel that will explain to us how we are going to arrange the data for a panel data in panel data analysis with VSP. Now this is the Excel containing the data we want to analyze. Now, if you look closely, you can see the headings. The row 1 contains the red headings, which is the variable names there. Now, the first one is the firm ID. That firm represents the entity ID that we talked about earlier. Then the period represents the time scale. And then the RSR, ROE, ROA, CSR, DPR, PR, ZSC, DPS, and MCAP are all variables. Now, assuming that the dependent variables here include MCAP, which represent maybe market capitalization, then all the other one could be independent variable, which we want to study how they affect the market capitalization of each of these companies. Now, there are about five companies in all, and also there are 5 time scale: 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 there for each of them. Yeah, so that is on that. Now, with that, now let us now see how this will affect our analysis.